society will be transformed, I think, permanently. And this notion of returning to status quo ante is, I think, not possible.
I think that the level of shakeup in our global economy is going to be the most serious challenge civilization has faced in 300 or 400 years.
If you look at the responses to this crisis, it is often going to lead to an incredible increase in the levels of debt that households, governments, and corporations are going to have.
When you're hit with something like Corona, which is simultaneously a demand and supply shock, and it continues in waves, this type of growth model that's based on consumption, it's a disaster.
How does the EU solve the problem of the pandemic economic crisis and also pull itself out of the Eurozone crisis?
The big question that I wish we had an answer for, and so far I don't think we have an answer for, is where will the good jobs come from?
Developing countries need to find as much fiscal space as they can possible. They are fighting the virus. Their debt is ballooning. They're also losing remittances, which many countries rely on.
I would not expect many developing countries to get to 2019 levels of income by 2025.
One positive thing that has come out of this crisis might be to make developing countries more self-confident and make them seek their own ways.
If you said 40 years ago that inequality would have gotten a lot worse, people would have said, well, there'll be a revolution. Maybe it'll get worse still and there won't be a revolution. Maybe this time will be too much.
A society that wants to deal with inequality, poverty, and injustice can, but it does mean you have to reduce the extreme, obscene levels of wealth in comparison to the extreme levels of poverty.
We need to develop an economic system, an international economic order, and a regulation of globalization that brings us to a more equitable and also sustainable development model for the future.